Hola, hola. I am Trek with two Ks,
And I am 3D, and welcome to Metaverses the Other Side.
brought to you here on the Gentleman of Crypto Network. Just a heads up, this episode is before we had the idea of bringing the Twitter spaces to the Gentleman of Crypto Network. And so that's why we're talking about the stuff that we're talking about in this episode. Welcome to Metaverses the Other Side. What is going on? All right, and so getting the things rolling. All right, so I'm getting things rolling right now. I'm trying to work multiple devices, so I need to set this up. All right, let's see if it's doing what I needed to do. Where are you going? Yes, no. Like that. So, in case you missed it, well, I'm gonna give 3D a couple minutes and other folks some time to get in here. Um, if you don't know, this is Metaverses the Other Side, which is the official name that we're going with now with the show. And this is put together through the Builder DAO Twitter spaces that we hosted on. The two folks behind it is myself and 3D, who will be here in a couple. Actually, let me send a message out to him now, just in case. Buh, 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 buh. Oh man, I totally missed that. So where we go? Yeah, so just a little background for those who might be new to this, who don't know what's going on. The basic idea is that me and 3D started talking about metaverses, and then we got into like working to do webinars and explainers, and then we got into pushing on the Twitter spaces, and it's literally all happened during. Oh, there you go. What did this? This literally happened during the summertime, and now here we are, X amount of months later, like double digit number of episodes recorded later. And yeah, like we're still doing this, and we've definitely pushed to a bunch of different things that we did not initially have as part of the idea about this. A number of things have come out. We put together a toolbox of open source free open source tools that you could use to build things within metaverses or within websites or within smart contracts. So you can do a DAO that's like a drop and click. You can do um NFTs. You can do QR code stuff. Like there's a number of things you could do with what's on the website. The link for it, if you don't know, is in the description. For those of you who see this on the YouTube side, the link for that stuff is in the description. For those of you who are looking at it or listening to this on the Twitter Spaces, if you go to the Builder DAO homepage, you'll see the links for the stuff in the profile. So just throwing that stuff out there, we have definitely come a long way for where we started with this idea of just talking about things going on in the metaversal space as we see it. And we're not talking about the speculative stuff. We're not talking about, the easy just flipping and it's all about the price point and trading. There's more that goes into that type of stuff when you talk about applying like business models besides just trading. That's one aspect, but that's not where we focus on. We get a little bit more in depth on the things that we talk about with that. And we actually do have a webinar that explains all of that stuff. Um, as I mentioned before, and 3D's here, I'm going to cut this short to say we are now on the Gentlemen of Crypto YouTube channel, and we are the first late night show. And this is why it is called Metaverses the Other Side. And so we get into various topics. Right now, we've been running down this campaign list of like movies and TV shows and cartoons related to metaverses, AR, VR. And tonight's movie is The Call Up, which came out in 2016. And I gotta say, like, uh, as far as the AR metaverse side of it, okay, but as far as a movie, oh man, did this joint annoy the shit out of me. But my co-host is here. Thank you for joining me another night, bro. You know, let's get into it.
What up? What up? What up? So the call up. Oh my gosh. I I I do want to hate on the writing. Um, the writing was bad. I think I had books that I wrote in like senior year of high school that were better. Um, but there were things in this movie that I did not expect to see. So I have to admit, there is some good to the bad. Um, so this shows us total immersion into a thing, and in this case, it is a physically socially connected video game. Um, and That's kind of the closest to direct metaversal content you're going to get. Although these people are physically near each other, and if we were to say, okay, this is actual metaversal, some of these players wouldn't be right in the same spot or whatever. But still, these people put on these suits, haptic feedback suits that go a little bit too far and can actually kill the player. They can do tons of stuff or whatever, including like making you feel the pain from actual gunshots. Oh, bro, I see your hands up. What's up?
All right, so forgot to say, spoiler alert, if you haven't seen this movie, we are going to definitely talk about X amount of the scenes and things that happen. And ideally, we're going to try to stay away from the acting, writing side, but there's just definitely things that are just, oh man, like, I don't know if to say stupid or if it's one of those like, it was used to drive the plot along as a plot device. Um, so yeah, but as 3D was just saying, it is. Oh, you know what I wanted to say to you? It definitely is a free guy style of movie in that the people are crossing in like real world and virtual world, but the the UI is different. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah, I definitely got that feeling, and it, I mean, this one is quite a bit of different in various different ways, but but even down to like, okay, a free guy, you had some enforcer, right? In this one, you had some kind of enforcer as well. Now in Free Guy, we get to see like the enforcer is physically individuals in real life, but in this movie, the enforcer was like algorithmic. It wasn't AI algorithmic though. It was an actual NPC that could beat you up and in the end murder you if they wanted.
Right.
So I think that that is something really unique, something we don't actually see at the moment. But I don't think people have really thought about algorithmic censorship or algorithmic, keeping sure you stay within the lines of the game. Like when me and what's his name, Danish, when we broke Digicon and we were on top of buildings and doing this other stuff. Like there was at one point in time, he was like, "Bro, you're looking strange, running into the bushes for like 30 minutes," and the next thing you know, I'm in a section of the backdrop that you're not even supposed to be in. If there was some algorithmic enforcer that could come in and force me back to where I was going, I would have given up the first or second time it happened. So I'm like, oh well, that sucks. If I do get
Ooh.
past the laws or whatever, I'm forced back to where I was. That would suck. That would actually curb that curiosity. Yeah, go ahead, bro.
Okay. So you know what I thought about when okay, all right. I want to try to back up some because you definitely jumped into something I wanted to touch on about the enforcer, which was the sergeant. Um, it rem- I'm gonna touch on it, but I want to start from like the intro scene of the movie. There's a reason. Um, so it reminded me of Star Trek in the hologram rooms where you have the ability to turn off like the safety mechanisms, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
at least within the Star Trek universe, the hologram rooms were the whole thing about light and using sensors and stuff like that to have the light create the environment around you, and then you could do things where it was a solid enough thing that you could climb on, you could jump off, you could be in water, it could, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
And that's what it reminded me of, and I was like, like what is the science behind that of where um you get the sensation of being punched or kicked. Because like here's another example of something where technically on a what am I looking at, on a physical level, um the haptic suit can give you the sensation of getting kicked, but it can't give you the momentum and the push factor that you need to like move in the real physical world. You get what I'm saying? It'll give you
yeah,
the
absolutely.
sensation. And like I just thought about that now. I was like, like there's certain rules that they're breaking in order to make the storyline work, but like you can't do that technically. Like it doesn't simulate that. But I got why it was done because it's a movie again. But jumping back, we're gonna come back to this, but jumping back, um, the intro of the movie. Did you see what the intro? Did you like read what the intro scene was and how it was going? Do you
Yeah,
remember?
it was total foreshadowing in the intro. Like they were like going over people's data and posts and other social media things. Like there was one guy, his grandma or something new, hope she's feeling better with the new meds or
Reaper
something like that.
2000.
And
Reaper
yeah, and
2000. That yeah.
so they were like showing off the fact that they were looking for people. It's similar to Squid Game. There was some reason why they were either lonesome, lonely, helping, or like they didn't really have anybody that relied on them to a point that would miss them or call the cops or anything like that. It's a bit strange. Is there something in there that I
Okay.
missed that you were talking about though?
The web crawling, because it was two, at least how I'm thinking about it, and that it was two kind of things going on. There was general web crawling for what is on the public side, but if you like read and actually read some of the 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 documents, it was also going through private side stuff. So and I don't know, like hypotheses, whatever. Um, and the reason this also even caught my attention even more, because remember I was telling you about listening to the Hacker Diaries.
Mm-hmm.
So in 2016, there was a whole set of things that came out of the NSA tool set. Like somebody dumped some of their tools out into the public, right? And the dude in the interview was breaking down some of the stuff. This is not in the movie, y'all. This is Hacker Diaries that I was listening to, and I forgot the guy's name, but he recently just did a thing in talking about that period, where it happened and what was the tool source and blah blah blah. So like, and I remember I used to always tell my kids about this. Like, there is always more advanced technology than what you see in the public sphere. And he was making a point about how here we are in 2022, and there's still stuff that they dropped, the hacker group back then dropped in 2016, that's still not even commercially available today. And we're nearly 10 years later. My point, tying that into the movie, and I don't know when the movie came out or if the director or any of the writers are even aware of what was going on, but the way that it showed the computer monitor, it was basically going through, looking at the gameplay, looking at the leadership board, and then it started picking out people out of the leadership board, and then it just started crawling and scouring through the internet in publicly available stuff and private stuff behind firewalls or stuff behind paywalls, and then it was picking out certain information about the people, and then it went through and like scanned all of Manhattan, and it was doing something where it was just seeing where the people were within Manhattan, and then it was also scanning for a vacant building to be able to do this exercise. And I thought that was just crazy. Like, if you don't think about it from a technical aspect, it just looks kind of cool and it looks like the computer's doing something. You don't see if this is a person sitting at a keyboard typing, or if if it's actually just an algo doing it, because some of the things that happen in that scene, and this is the intro scene before you even like really see the live people, is you see pictures of them and stuff, but it says stuff like what does it say, like pulling public files, searching blah 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 database, and it
Yeah,
says
yeah.
certain little things, but I was like, yo, was that an algo that was doing that? Because we already have web crawlers now. If you know anything about Cliff High, if you know anything about some of the stuff he was talking about back in 20, what is that, 15, about how he was doing the damn, what did he call the reports? I can't remember the name of the reports, but he wrote his own web crawlers.
Oh, I do know what you're talking about. Like that there was a businesses taking place in the Bahamas or some islands, and those reports, right, about the rich people and all that.
No. Cliff did these reports that were generated from the web crawlers and web scrapers that he had wrote up himself. And
Okay.
they were like global. I forgot the name of the reports. If you know about Cliff High, you know what I'm talking about. But the point being is that that technology, even though it was in a quote movie, it was real, is what I'm trying to get at. And that was back then. And there's no public quote information that really explains or gives like the, oh well, here's the year it was created. Why? Because some of that stuff comes out of the alphabet, folks. It comes out of their tool set, so that information isn't public stuff like that, but that stuff is out there now, is my point. And like I said, like, even though the movie was from that year, it's fun. And I really did not think about this until just now, because I was listening to the Hacker Diary earlier today, and it's like, oh wow, that was like relatively the same year that the movie came out, and these are some of the things that were going on. Like, oh snap, didn't even think of it. But going forward, right? Not to get too lost on the whole, algorithms and AI and stuff like that. You get into the introduction of the characters. Oh, what was it? What was it? The joint that was also cool, which I wish they would have showed more of, was the card that was his alarm clock, and it was also his GPS.
No, I think that was sent in to him from the company because I noticed it was on top of the package, like it had just been opened, and
Right,
it looked like someone else had one too. Um,
right.
and you could say that's just like you know how many, remember we used to have two-way pagers. where you had to have this specific other pager in order to talk to each other, and you guys could do text. I was figuring it was something kind of like that, where it was just like a real small electronic device that the user has no real control over.
Oh no, 100% agree on that side as far as like it was something that the 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 organization that set up the game were definitely giving away X amount of the stuff. Bottom line is it it turned out that it was basically just a test of somebody with a bored ass imagination, and damn near everyone died. But we're gonna get to that part in a minute. But yeah, the card I thought was interesting. Just on the end, you know what it reminds me of? Um, what's the PDF joints that you could read the Kindles? So if you took away the frame of a Kindle and shrunk it down to the size of a card, the display was in that, what is that, momochronic, what is it called when it's like black and white, like your font and your display.
Grayscale.
All right, we're
I
gonna
mean,
go with
like,
grayscale, but I'm talking about the Kindle, the early version that was in the black and white.
I do know what you're talking about, but I don't remember what they if they had a special name for it or anything. I just remember they were like anti-glare and this all this other stuff supposed to be able to read anywhere type stuff.
Right.
Nowadays
So
we have digital paper, but that's white on black, where it's a black screen with white stuff on top.
right. Okay. Mm, well, 2016. I want to say the Kindle was around then, but nonetheless, like it reminded me of that. All right, so let's jump into, because I think we're getting X amount lost in the other external devices and techie stuff going on, and let's jump into the actual the metaverse VR AR side of it. So in the movie, they make it to this, all these, like, what is it, 6 people, 8 people, they make it to this place. They're all people who actually, well, not even all of them, they don't all play the video game. It it didn't make sense to me about the girl, the second girl, the one who got killed.
Hmm.
Like her character scenario is just like, like, why was that her background story? Because it wasn't like it was pivotal to the storyline.
And
You know what I'm saying? Like,
we're talking about the chick that took someone else's place and they weren't supposed to be there.
yes,
Yeah, yeah.
like,
See, this is why I was saying it's like the writing's fresh out of college, because that type of style of writing, it's the unexpected twist that's when you hear it, you're like, oh, that could have been me, or oh, stuff like that. But in reality, when you go to actual movies and stuff, and you using that kind of stuff, it always just looks like you're saying out of place.
like, yeah, it just didn't. I thought it was gonna go someplace, and then it didn't, and I was like, well, what the hell? Like, that didn't even, you know what I'm saying? That didn't even matter. Or
Yeah,
or even how it didn't even make sense, right? So there's that part in the movie where they're all like trying to figure out, well, why did they pick us? Um, and then they all realize it's because of the whole loner lifestyle thing, whatever.
yeah.
And her being there, here's why her part doesn't make sense to me, right? When they first got in the room, um, and they were showing the tablets that they were typing out on, they were putting their information in. One of the things they asked was for your social security number. And I know some people are thinking, like, bro, you're thinking too much on this. Like, what? I don't know. Little things like that in movies, because I'm always looking at, like, well, what's on the wall? What's on the screen over there? Does the color of this thing matter? Are we talking about a particular product for a reason? Why does this name get brought up? And it's like, how is this stuff driving and playing into the story down the road? And so in my mind, it instantly went back to, well, how the hell did she fill out the intake information if she's not the girl? And then, like, how did she know that? How would she have known that she needed to fill in more information like that? Like, that's PII stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what
Now
I'm saying?
that part, I 100% like. You wouldn't know that you was gonna need that. But I have seen people sell the Social Security number for way less than 10 grand, or even 5 grand, because it was what 10 grand is what the winning prize was, right? Or 100
No,
grand, right?
and that was the other thing. I was like, yo, you're only getting 100K? Are you kidding me? Like,
No,
I thought that was such a lowball number, bro. I was like, come on, you're literally going to have someone, and like I got the whole point of like people are gonna die, but it was to me it was just like, come on, you couldn't have been a little bit more like, oh, you get like $1 million, or like give me a number that like I'm going to somehow be able to process all of this mental um um uh all of the mental frustrations and things that are going to like come from this. 100,000? Even in 2016, bro. 100,000? Come on. I thought
I
that was
mean,
such a crappy number.
I did too. The only thing I could think of was like, imagine you're a gamer and you get a thing saying, "Hey, we noticed you play this game. We want you to test some, whatever. How about you go into a competition for 100,000? Game wise, $100,000 in a competition, that's not uncommon. That's the only thing I can think of. But at the same time, I was with you the whole time. I was like, wait a minute, I'm going somewhere. I don't know what's going to happen. All this stuff, I have no information, and I'm like possibly getting 100K. I would have never actually gone for that.
Right. Okay. So I'm not the only one. All right. So let's get into this whole thing with the virtual part of it. So now in the movie, um, they basically tell them, hey, you got to put on these suits, and then you get these other attachments onto it that are haptic hardware. So you get a vest, you get this one thing that goes on your leg, you get the helmet. The helmet, once you put it on, connects to the vest that you're wearing, and then you can't take the shit off until the end if you survive. The
Yep.
helmet and the vest are haptic suits in the full sense, in that they will give all of the sensation for if you get shot or if you get hit. Um, and they also use it to kill you in this game. Oh, the other thing, the other thing that I thought about in this, you remember the joint about the Oculus creator who was like who made he made a mock-up of an Oculus headset that would have explosives in it.
Yeah.
Okay, this also brought me to that. Here's why. Here's why. Right, and I was saying this. I said this to you yesterday. Per the other conversation in the other Twitter spaces, my mind tends to run towards the dark, negative things when I look at technology, because it isn't that the technology is bad, in my opinion. It's the how is someone going to implement it, or what is the objective of what they're trying to do with it, right?
Yeah.
But in that same note, human beings are really funny creatures. We will gamble and bet on anything. We will also take some of the most ridiculous chances with our lives. Like people who play like Russian roulette or other type of very clear life endangering. And I'm not talking about, oh, somebody skiing or doing, extreme, like yeah, extreme scuba diving as far as like deep diving, that like yeah, that's a thing. But I'm talking about like things where you're like, hey, you know that like it's five of y'all in this like no holds bars competition. At least three of you are gonna have broken bones. One of you will probably die, but only one of you will actually make it across the finish line. Like like human beings have that in them. Like think about how old like the brawler boxing stuff is. Underground fights. They're still back.
Hmm.
Yo, during COVID, oh my, people was doing straight out backyard wrestling brawler fights during COVID. It popped up extra during COVID.
Dang.
My point to this is I seen that. It made me think of the dude who did the Oculus, and I was like, wow, give it a couple more years and add in some 3D printing, add in some more open source technology, and I can definitely see a black market for um let's say real world. It'd be hybrid LARPing, bro. Hybrid, like VR, AR, metaverse level LARPing. Because if you combine the 3D printing with the cosplay, with the open source tech, as far as the software and devices, like another 5 years, I can see this happening.
Yeah,
Tell me,
I mean, you're not wrong, bro. This is definitely going to be something we're going to see in the future. And whether it's like FPS style or even like any other kind of genre of game, like there's so many different genres you could do like this. Imagine playing a Final Fantasy version of this, right? People would want that experience, and something that I don't think we really get any point of, but I kind of think that it could have. There's a chance that all the players could have stayed a team, and all the players could have got through the whole game without dying. Like there was no real reason for any of the characters to have to die. Um, and so, like when you have these types of things come in real life, that's going to be the goal, right? Oh, we're going to go do a community building exercise. We need you guys all to sign this waiver in case you do die. But as long as you guys all work together as a team, you shouldn't die. I mean, like I could see businesses sending people off to these, and you're not getting paid a damn dime. You're just going to be guaranteed a raise if you get through it or something. Um, Especially since like Amazon has the wagey cage where it's a physical cage they can put employees in. They cannot get out on their own. Yeah, manager has to let you out in order to save you from being attacked or or killed by some of the fast moving robots in their facilities. Like this is something they've actually have patents for, something they've actually considered using, and that's not too far off from okay, we're going to put you in a tournament for team building exercise, and if you guys survive, you live, you get a pay raise. If you don't, have fun. You know, we have insurance on you, or whatever, and that will pay. I mean, it's like we're not far off now. If we go, okay, let's actually talk about like the metaversal side of this. Um, I the fact that they went and grabbed an abandoned building, the fact that the gameplay literally was top to bottom. You go from the top store, go up high, and you work your way down low. That all made sense. All that made sense. And I think when we see metaverse games like um, various different ones, we tend to see it go the opposite though. People, but it's the same ideal concept. You start on one level, then you move your way to the next, and to the next, and to the next, and it's just like that was a good homage, I guess, to what we're actually seeing, even though it's reversed. Because in real life, it would make more sense to go from the top story down.
so that just made me think of Sword Online. If you don't know about Sword Online, it is like one of the latter, in more recent years, anime classics, where it is the whole thing of like the multiplayer type of
MMORPG.
game. Yeah, thank you. Um, and so um, the the difference though in that joint, as far as how the game's UI worked, was you had the headset, and the headset puts you into the virtual space, and then you go through the whole thing. It's not a full immersion haptic suit and all that. But as far as this movie goes, excuse me, um, again, like it's one of those things of like realizing that yeah, it was a level of like futurism to it, that haptic suits back then were nowhere near what they were trying to present. And arguably, they're not at that level right now per se, but um we do have haptic suits now where you could have like, well, haptic vests, you have the gloves, um the full on suit. I don't know who's making a full on suit right now, but I imagine that's like that's a couple grand easy.
Oh yeah.
What, and then like last, what was that, last week when We talked about Free Guy. We were talking about Halo lenses. So again,
Mm-hmm.
in this movie, they have these helmets, and the helmets kind of look like biker helmets in a way, but a little bit more slicker. Uh, yeah, a little bit more slick. Um, and then you have the visor. Your visor comes down, and it covers your whole face, right? And the visor is actually the filter mechanism, the the device that allows you to see as the virtual world populates around you. So here they are inside this building, and it's an all white building. Yo, I swear to God, when I was watching the movie, I was thinking about this too, about production wise. I was looking at it and I was going, they really could have just been on the one floor the whole time and just did like two or three staircases and then just
Mm-hmm.
rearrange, like as far as production goes in the actual movie. Like they weren't in a full building. They never even show you when he walks in. Like, they show you when he gets to the door and then he goes in, but you never see inside that building. And then next thing you know, you see them in the white room, and then they go into the little locker room thing. And da-da-da. But I was thinking about that again. Like I said, my mind be like all over the place when I'm watching movies. So like a number of things come into question for me, or like trying to explain something out, right? Um, so what was it? And what else had got me? When I was looking at the weapons, so they had the rifle, they had a shotgun, they had pistols, they were what's the name of the damn pistols? I forgot the name for the pistols, but nonetheless, I was thinking of the whole 3D print thing. Um and it's like, okay, I can see this part of it. Cause think about Nintendo Duck Hunt.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like that's early 90s. So and then what was the name of that other think about laser tag. Yo, that was another thing that was getting me. Where like just watching them shoot and you're just like, yo, y'all ain't hitting Jack Diddley. And I do think some of y'all should have died a lot faster. I swear to God, some of y'all should have died faster. Because you ever played laser tag, bro?
Yeah.
Like it is an laser tag and paintball, incredibly
Oh.
fast paced environments. You will
Yeah.
be shot or hit before you even know it. Because some people are just that quick and that good and accurate, right?
Yeah.
Um, and that was one thing that I was thinking about too, while like the scenes were kind of playing out and they were getting into these like the firefights. And I was like, okay, like nah, y'all should. And I don't know if it was just like the military thing that was getting me, or just like I've played on the military side. No, not the military side, but I've played in laser tags and paintball, and then like being in the military stuff, and then like playing certain video games. It was just like, I hear y'all, but this isn't really gelling with what I understand and know about how this environment works. But okay, it's a movie. Let it go. Um, I
I don't
still
like to let
think
it go.
okay. Let's go. Let's go.
Because, like, hey, that's something my wife always tells me to watch movies. I don't let the little things go. But, okay, so I have played laser tag with people and I've played paintball with people. And then we went to a fairground thing and we got to shoot, like, basically a couple of different guns for free. Um, and I noticed, like, when we're using the paintball style guns, they're very similar to what I would call a small um, rifle. Um, and I noticed that, like, everyone who was good at laser tag sucked at shooting these real guns. People who were good at paintball were good at shooting some of these guns. And then some years later, when I'm in scouts, um, we were actually firing rifles and guns and shotguns and pistols. And I got really proficient with a long barrel rifle, like sit sit down and shoot like deer and things like that, right? So nothing too big. And but I noticed that some of the people who were really good with like the shotgun, the pistol, they eventually went to the military and they got really, they came back from Operation Iraqi Freedom and stuff like that. Like they actually were good at shooting. But people who tend to play these games, people who tend to do laser tag versus paintball, um, they suck at it. So seeing these people actually suck at shooting the gun, I was like, that's legit. That's fucking legit. And then you can tell that there's some sort of bullcrap in the, like when you play some games, when you first, in the first few levels, you can just stand there and the enemies cannot seem to hit you. I got that entire vibe from this. All the way up until the point where the one guy comes, like the guy is in the bathroom and the guy comes up and shoots him in the back, like the AI shoots him in the back. That's the only time I was like, okay, vibes changed.
Okay, yeah, that's true. Yeah, that was definitely annoying me, like how they were like shooting sideways, and I was like, what the? And they had the one military dude who was there, and I was like, yo, you just gonna let this fly? Like, you're not gonna correct people? What's going on here? But okay, got it. It's a movie. Let that go. Um, okay, so where are we at right now? They have the suits on. Um, everyone has their awkwardness of adjusting to the weapons that they have, and they first start off with pistols, and then they graduate to rifles. And yeah, definitely to your point about like how some people were like made the easy adjustment after getting shot at a couple of times, and then like other people is just like, okay, so I guess this is the real part of like if you just play video games about shooting people, like when you're actually in the situation of having to use a firearm, it will not go anywhere like how you think, like at all. And then some people just kind of like adapt to it well enough. Um, what happened next that had got me? All right, so let me jump back one just so folks can follow up with how we're talking about this. So now they get the suits on, they start experiencing the whole thing of how the visor headset works. And I mean, you literally just see this whole like Snow White room change into like this dungy, messed up building with like debris all around the ground. You see a helicopter outside. I forgot what the helicopter was. It wasn't an American joint. It was a foreign military helicopter, and it just hmm, if you could put it in comparison to Free Guy, um, they didn't do the thing where you have that 3D. What's the word I'm looking for? The 3D version, like, so you remember how in Free Guy, when they were looking at the monitors of what was going on in Free City, excuse me, there was the 3D rendering image of what was going on, and then when they were actually in it, that's when it switched into the whole live people virtual world that mirrored the aesthetics of the real world, right? Um, in the call up, they don't do that 3D part. It's just you pull down the helmet, boom, like it's virtual real world. There's no 3D ish looking. There's no like Grand Theft Auto kind of like color scheme or architecture where you like look at buildings like, oh, it looks kind of cartoony. None of that. So in that regard, like I think that the idea of what they were looking to convey for like how realistic the virtual world could be, and the how realistic that virtual world could be is definitely how am I saying this? Yes, well executed, but again, understanding it's a movie, so like that's what they're looking to present, and I think they do a good crossover. Um, what else happened? So we get the suits on. They're learning how to shoot the weapons. We're seeing that like, and then like once you pull up the helmet, you just go back to seeing the regular white room. And what else? What else? What else?
I do want to add in context here. Like, I think the point of the white room, it could have been something like, oh, well, this shows that it's like not doing anything. You know, it's just not being used. But I think if you were to try this, like there was a company that came out with a semi-full immersion. When we say semi, we really use that term loosely here. Um, where they had an extremely white room, like the type of white paint that was used is something that was used on like space shuttles or something. It's like highest tier of white, and the whole point of that was when you put on the headset, you would see a little bit of what's around you. But the way it worked was it was just like imprinting. It was like projecting a small image on glass in front of your face, and it still had a full visor. But I've also seen ones where they were like big round bells that like if you know like the old fashioned bells when you go down scuba diving kind of type thing, but and it had a bunch of cameras in it, so you could turn around completely, and you always had cameras without anything being attached to your face. And so that they used those white type of rooms to help, so you didn't run into stuff. You know, so like you would still be able to see there's a wall coming if there was no wall programmed there. Um, and with this technology we're seeing in this movie, I would say they probably had more like instead of being realistic 3D, I think what it was like artificially amalgamated 3D, where you know how like you can take actual footage of things and then the scripts and bots and AI can then adjust it to make animations with just pictures and things. I'm thinking something similar like that. So it would actually have the brighter white room to be able to see the details of where the floor is, where the wall is, to be able to keep you from running into stuff. Because even in the bathroom, they go into the bathroom is completely white, head to toe, in every inch of corner. Even the sink, you know, that's not something you really see a whole lot. We have that pure white sink with pure white, you know, finishings. Normally you would have metal or chrome to attach to that. And that's one thing I can think of that for that point.
Got you. Um, okay, so what happens? We get to the first shot. Yeah, let's get to that. The first shot. So this gets into the thing that I said before about how, and I really did not think about it until today, where I get the haptic suit and how it gives you the impression of the bodily harm. And granted, it's a movie, so they're basically making it where like the dude got shot in his chest, he's on the ground, he's screaming, and he's trying to tell everybody like, yo, it hurts, it's really burning, like, oh my god, like I'm about to die right now. And they're all standing around looking at him going like, what are you talking about, like it's not even real. That's when they realized it was real, because then he started nearly dying. um but like I said about that, the part of being able to like throw him to the ground when he got shot, there's no haptic suit, at least that I'm aware of, that works for the momentum inertia part of it, right? So
Yeah,
like the getting shot would have been like, oh, okay, wow, I did feel that. Or like the getting punched, like when dude got punched, like um so okay, so earlier 3D was talking about the enforcer. So what happens is this is like a military style environment that they're playing in. The enforcer, who's also like the computer guide for what they need to do, is the sergeant. And so I was also wondering, why did they make his voice sound like that? I just thought
do,
that was stupid too.
do you know who
It
he
didn't.
reminds me? That you remember that guy in all the old movies where he was like always the drill sergeant, and he was be like, God dang it, scam, maggot, and he's that white guy with, you
Yeah,
know,
the Marine
he's an
dude, the
actual,
Marine dude.
yeah, yeah, he's an actual Marine guy or whatever. I think they were mimicking him because, like, he was famous everywhere. And that's just what the vibe I got from the guy playing the sergeant major in this one was, hey, he's just playing that old Marine guy or whatever, like a drill sergeant or something. But,
Oh, he
like,
sucked.
yeah, he does. But That's the only that's where I was getting from him. That's the total vibe I got.
Okay, all right, I got you on that. I still think he sucked though, but like, so all right, where are we going? The dude gets shot. Yo, I actually thought he was gonna make it till the end of the movie. I so thought he was gonna make it till the end of the movie,
Yeah,
and
the
then it was like
military
he didn't.
guy.
No, not the not the soldier dude. I'm talking about the first dude who got shot.
Oh, socks, socks. Yeah, I
Socks.
at the beginning I thought he was too because he had such a weird story. His girlfriend was a cat.
Yeah, right. Like I thought something. I thought he was gonna make it, and then at a certain point, I was like, oh, he's not. Okay. And then like literally in the next couple of minutes, he died. I was like, oh, okay. I go, all right, that was it. But nonetheless, he gets shot, and that's when they realize how realistic, but they still question the effects of the haptic suit. So now who was the next person to get shot? Somebody else got shot after that.
It was the big guy. I don't remember his name or anything like that. And I
Atlas?
do
No,
nah
okay.
nah nah
Reaper
the chubby
2000.
guy. Yeah, there
Reaper
you go.
2000. And then that's when everybody realized it was real. And then the dude, Amid, he started panicking more, and then he started trying to get out of the thing, and Socks was trying to help him. And okay, so here's what I thought was funny about that in regards to what you were saying about the enforcer thing. Um, why didn't the enforcer go after Socks for helping him? Because if anything, it should have like shouldn't the system had been able to recognize that um I don't even want to say his name right now in the movie, but I'm gonna just say Amir. Um, he was getting hit with something by another player, like, and, and then you could do fratricide. That was the other thing. I was like, wait, what? And I was wondering that in the beginning if they could do fratricide. Okay, sorry for the folks who do not understand. Fratricide means it's where you shoot your own person, and the dude Atlas was like on the roll to start doing that dumbness.
Uh,
Um,
Fracture side is also called friendly fire.
yes, okay, there we go. Another thing, friendly fire. Um, so where was I at? He um, why is it that the enforcer didn't attack him the way like it attacked what's his name?
I
The dude Amir.
I
Like,
the enforcer kept saying, "Do not mess with the equipment." Anytime you fucked with the equipment or you tried to escape, the enforcer fucked you. You know, he really
mm-hmm,
came at you, and that's the only reason why. And then I noticed that they only had the enforcer going after the same guy over and over and over. The Russian or the Bovian, or I forget what he was from. Um, I see. We also got Choi in the room. What's up, Choi? Hope you're enjoying the talk. Um, so they were being like in the story plot. They were being really deliberate with who was getting hit with the thing. And to me, it just seemed biased, if anything.
mm. I don't know about bias. Like I said, it didn't make sense to me for how the quote system was reading what was going on. Is it that it just because like remember in the beginning when they realized like oh shit like this is going on, and then everyone starts grabbing at their helmet and everyone starts grabbing at their vest. Like why didn't it pop out then? Granted, it doesn't work for the storyline, right? To do it that early, but then to come back in and like totally start beating on the dude, it adds a new thing to the plot. But it was like, yeah, but you broke your rule because they was all messing with it before in the other room, except for the guy who was the one who put the damn test together.
You're absolutely right. Like they were hitting each other with the thing, the fire extinguisher. They were trying to take it off. You're right. They were fucking with the
No, no,
suits,
no.
and nothing happened.
Before that scene, before the scene where Socks was hitting Amid with the fire extinguisher, before they did the first mission, before they started that, they all tried to take it off except for the dude who was actually from the company. They were all standing there jerking around the helmet, trying to move the strap and everything. The sergeant doesn't come out then. But nonetheless, let's push a little forward on this one. In regards to the name of time, for the sake of time and stuff,